I woke up sick this morning, but I still did some research on JSON. So I want to create now a situation where when I add my movies into the movie collection list, they're not lost. They will be saved into the file for later, so I can add over time those movies into my collection and they're never lost. So first, let's see how Python and JSON files actually operate. I'm going to open Python interpreter. And let's just imagine that we have an empty list for now. So initially we have this movie list that is completely empty. Now, in the directory where my code is, I'm going to create a file called db underscore collection underscore movies, let's just say, or something to that effect. So in order to use JSON, we need to import that JSON into the code. So import JSON is the command that will allow to do some JSON file manipulation. Now, for now, I have no file created. So imagine this is just the beginning of my database, and I want to see if the file is created. So JSON has a method of opening the file, and this is the command with open, and in the parentheses we specify the path where the file is. I want my file to be in the same directory as my code. I'll call this file, JSON file, db underscore movie, let's say collection, and JSON is the extension. By default, with open command, the file is going to be opened in read-only mode. If I want to change it, I can specify that for now. So I don't technically have to do this, say R for read only, but just for clarity, I'm trying to open the file, and what follows is the as command and the name. In my case, I'll use fp as file pointer, and that command is going to attempt to open the file db underscore movie underscore collection.json that is should be in the current directory, and if it's not there, it's going to cause an error. And let's see when that happens. So now I'm hitting enter, and with indentation, because this is the body of the with open command, I will say this, let's just get this content of the file into the variable first. So that's the way they do this. Current movies is my variable. I will assign the content of the file, which is represented as file pointer, this name, into this, and the command to do that is JSON load and the file pointer. So the content of this, well, in my case, non-existent file is going to be applied into current movies variable. So obviously I'm going to have an error here, but if the file did exist, its content would be applied here. And what would I do then? I would just go ahead and say for movie in current movies, my loop. So I'm gonna go over the elements of that. It's supposed to be a list with the dictionary as its elements. So the movie is an element in the list. If it's in the file, I want to append it to. So movie append movie list. So for movie in the current movies, and that's supposed to be a list of dictionaries containing movie information, I'm going to append this to this empty list up here. But in my case, the file doesn't exist, but that's the whole purpose of this exercise. What happens if it doesn't exist? So if I hit enter right now, I will say an error. I will see an error. It says that the file db movie collection JSON was not found in the current directory. So the question now is, I want to open the file for the first time, but the file might already exist. So how do I handle that situation? So in my code, I will add in the next video the following entry. There's a command try in Python, so it's a very nice way of avoiding these kind of errors and stopping the program. I'm going to say exactly what I said here. With open, so try this. Try to open the file like that. So I'm going to say, maybe I'll just copy that real quick. So try to do this. Try to open the file in a read format. Do your stuff, and my stuff is whatever. I assign the content of the file to variable current movies. So I'm doing the same thing pretty much. If the file does exist, append each element of this list into my dictionary. So that would be my first attempt. I know it's going to fail because the file doesn't exist, but the try has another keyword. What happens if the file doesn't exist? We say except. And now we just type in this error. So if that file does exist, the second portion of my program, so if the file does exist, it's going to open the file in the read mode and apply its content into the current movies. Since the file should contain the list, it's going to be a list of elements, this dictionaries into this, and I'm going to append this in my program. But if the file doesn't exist, I want to create one. So how do I create that file? I'll use the same command with open, and I will use the same name, db movie collection JSON in the current directory. I will open this as read and write. I want to write to the file. So now as I want to write to the file, but what? And again, that's my name of the representing the file. This is a file pointer. Pointer, obviously. Oh, I made a typo here. Movie collection, the JSON. So if the file doesn't exist, the code can see that file not found error, it's going to open that file with the write privileges. And what do I want to do as my example? I'm going to say JSON dump is the command to write to a file. And now in the parentheses, it expects two parameters at least. One is what we want to write. Let's just say it's going to be my empty, right now, empty list. That's fine. So it's going to be empty list, movie. And where? Well, to the file which is open, which is represented by this pointer. So now if I do that, there's no error. Now if I leave my interpreter, if I do ls db movie collection, wow, and it did create a file because it wasn't there. So if I display the content of it, obviously there's an empty list in there because that's what I appended to this file. Voila, it's right here, empty list. So in the next video, I will try to apply this technique to my code and see if I can also save my stuff into the file and open that later for reading and adding new movies.